Hello everyone, and welcome back to my backyard. Today I'd like to talk through and go through what we call our shade bed. And this has definitely evolved because we were trying to find blooming plants that would attract hummingbirds and butterflies specifically that could grow in the shade. And we were having issues with some. Last year we had such a wet season that some of our plants got flooded out. And so what I have learned, and experienced growers will tell you this, but I'm certainly not an experienced gardener, is that you need to plant what works well for your zone and for the area of the garden that you are looking at planting. And so we live along the upper Texas Gulf Coast south of Houston, and we garden in zone 9A. And so it is hot, it is humid in the summer, and the plants need to be able to thrive in that situation. And so as you can see looking straight on in the garden bed here is I have a lot of Coleus and Caladiums, and I have found they absolutely grow wonderful. So I'm going to start, I guess I'm going to start on this end actually. And this happens to be a beautiful Caladium. I have one on the other end. It's the Heart to Heart series from Proven Winners, and it loves its life. And the reason I wanted to start on this end is because I have some coral bells here that are just holding their own. They're not doing well, they're not growing, they're just not dying. Except for you'll notice the one back here is dying. And so coral bells I have found in our clay soil, I do not know how to grow well. And so they do not do well in the shade bed. And last year I had a lot of coral bells in this particular bed. A new addition to the garden in the shade bed this year is this plant. And it is really unique. It's called a Fortisia Sage. And the uniqueness of it is this stem. It is square. It almost looks like celery. And what the nursery said was this particular sage will grow nicely in part shade. In fact, that's what it prefers. And that's what this shade bed does get, is dappled shade from our trees, because I have trees and bushes in through here, as you can see. I scan back. And in the fall and throughout the winter, this is supposed to bloom nice yellow flowers that the hummingbirds and butterflies will like. So I am hoping that this Fortisia Sage will bloom very nicely for us through the fall and winter, throughout the fall and winter months. And then I'm going to come down, and one of my favorite plants for the shade bed happens to be the Coleus. And this is from Proven Winners. I got last year on sale at the end of the year at Lowe's actually. And they had the labels all messed up. And so what I have is a combination of Sedona Sunset and Wicked Hot. Anyway, from what the tag said. And right now the Coleus is blooming beautifully, and the reason I don't pinch it is because the pollinators absolutely love these blooms, even the hummingbirds, believe it or not. And so this Coleus, I believe I will plant every single year because it grows so beautifully. And then I have another Coleus in a pot. It has a unique leaf on it, but it is blooming very nicely. And I do have in this bed, you'll see that I have pots. So I have a combination of pots and in-ground planting. And we did put drip in the bed this year, which I've been extremely happy with because we've had a very dry year. Last year it was a very wet year, and this summer it's a very dry summer, and so we've certainly had to supplement. Well, we've had to water all summer long because through June and July we never had hardly any rain at all. Not doing too particularly well are my impatiens. Last year they did great. This year not so much. This happens to be a caladium that I saved the tuber or the bulb and just saved it over the winter, and it planted it and it grew nicely this year. Like I said, Sedona Sunset I think is one of my favorite Coleuses because of the beautiful color of the foliage, and it's so easily to spot from our kitchen and patio. I have another caladium back here that I recently bought because I had some problems. In the back here, you will notice that I have some bushes that go up to the fence, and I believe I would have an opossum that would come down nightly, and for some reason it loved this shade bed, and it did some damage actually, and it would come through this shade bed, and all in through here it damaged 3 of my Coleuses. And so what I did is I brought in pots, got a new Coleus back there, and I strategically tried to plant pots so it could help protect this shade bed from the possum coming in and deciding to walk nilly-willy through it. Interestingly, I love to hang baskets in my trees, blooming baskets. And unfortunately, because it's been so hot, I'm going to come to one of my baskets, one of my new baskets that I planted. The squirrels liked it too. So the squirrels would come over and they would jump from the tree into the basket, and it was cooler, especially on the 100-degree days down here, and they ruined my basket. So this happens to be a new one. I'm going to pan over, and this is one that they got in and damaged, and so there's a lot of, I would come outside and I would have broken stems in the ground, and there was just really nothing other than taking the baskets down. Not a whole lot that I could do. And so interestingly, here's a basket that the squirrels ruined one side of it anyway. But these are begonias, and I just completely cut it all down, just overwintered it, not inside, actually outside, and it is growing back nicely. So that pot is going to be able to go back into the trees. And on the end here, I have a coral bells plant. This is peachberry ice from Proven Winners, and I have found that my coral bells do much better when they are in planters. And so what I did is I planted this sweet potato vine with it, and I kind of like the contrasting colors, just the different color differences. And this sweet potato vine is, even though it's supposed to be full sun, it is still growing very prolifically here in the shade, which it does get sun and dappled sun, but it's not that Houston intense heat and direct sun. That fries almost anything. And then I have to say, I probably am going to plant way more and continue to plant the Coleuses and the Caladiums in this bed because of the success just in the heat and the humidity that we do have. And this is new. Like I said, I got the planters trying to protect from the possum, and I just love this combination. This happens to be called wasabi. It's a beautiful chartreuse or lime green Coleus. And so I'm going to explore that more, all the different types and color of the foliage of the Coleus, because the shade bed is where I'm going to be able to successfully plant both center shade Coleuses. So thank you for joining me this morning, and I hope you have a great day.